some statistics from the first set between Venus Williams and Zheng Jie. In the ace department, no surprises there. Venus Williams with 5 aces, Zheng Jie's 0. Winners pretty even, both girls slugging it out from the baseline, although you probably would have thought Venus Williams would have had a few more. Unforced errors, pretty much the same as well. And this is the interesting chart that we always like to see. This is the return hit point for Zheng, and that's pretty gutsy for her facing Venus Williams. The yellow dots are the first serves, that's where she returns inside the baseline. You see Venus getting a high percentage of first serves in and getting a lot of dots out wide. And Venus Williams returns pretty much similar actually. Inside the baseline. Zheng actually getting a amount of first serves in, but still just not good enough. I guess it's the pace factor there that gives Williams the edge. So all in all, pretty close first set, 6 games to 3, a couple of breaks either way.
Second set,
a good chance for Zheng Jie to try to get a win off Venus Williams because it's only a 2-set match. If it's 1 set all, it will go to a super tie-break, so anything can happen, as we saw in the first match. Naomi Morita losing the second set in quite poor fashion last couple of games, and then really bouncing back and racing off to a 9-1 lead against Gisela Duco, eventually winning that 10-4. Andrew, I think what that chart did show us that both girls are willing to stand inside the baseline to take the serve. What doesn't show us, though, is how effective it is. And I'm pretty sure that Venus is really taking more advantage with her heavy ground strokes, whereas Zheng is, he has to take it inside. Sometimes, though, she's missing, and other times the ball's just not effective enough.
Well, I think Venus is even serving harder than what Maria did the other night. So it's actually even a bigger challenge for Jen tonight to get her hand on Venus serve.
And very nearly another ace, 120 mph, just missing down the tee. And Amber, when you were playing at the highest level for your tennis, did you have any big servers? And if you did, how would you handle it? What were some of the things that you would try to do if you ever struggle against a particular opponent who had an effective serve? Maybe not so much power-wise, maybe it was a lefty swinging it wide or a weird kick.
Yeah, I mean, there's always adjustments that you have to make. There's a couple different things you can try to do. When someone has a big serve, you can either take a few steps back and give yourself a little more time to return the serve, or you can step in, kind of like Zheng Jie is doing tonight. You know, sometimes stepping in can be a little more challenging because you have to time it just right and make sure you counter the power there. But there's a lot of different ways and adjustments that you have to make.
What would you suggest here for Zheng Jie? Do you think this tactic just to continue doing what she's doing, which is just taking it in close, or should she sometimes just, for instance, on this on the ad court, maybe on the second serve, just stand in the tram line or even on the doubles line just to change things up, to shake her up or stand back for it?
Well, I think she's doing a pretty good job so far. Yeah, sometimes the challenge is when it's a second serve, if you're shooting too far back, then the kick can kind of get you up too high and you're not going to be in your sweet spot in your hitting zone. I think so far, Zheng Jie's doing a pretty good job. She's missed a couple, but for the most part, stepping in, she's been handling Venus's serve pretty well. And she had a few opportunities in that last service game that Venus had.
Yeah, perhaps on this court she is doing the right thing. I was just thinking back to Rafael Nadal, and we all know how far back he stands. Obviously he's a strong guy, and then he can really whip that ball back into play and keep the opponent. So he is giving away a lot of time and space, but then he makes that up through his speed, his strength, and his heavy topspin, getting the ball back. Great shot from Zheng. But that's on a clay court, and when he does play on the hard courts and at Wimbledon, after a couple of years on tour, he or his coach, whoever, they sort of realised that he had to change it a bit. So he flattened out his serve on the serve department. On the return, he actually moved in closer. So it's good to see that he had made the adjustments because he wanted to be more successful in the faster courts. So I just wonder if the girls, they should be thinking about that as well. But as you mentioned tonight, there's a fast court here at Victoria Park, so probably better to stand in. Interesting to see what it does on some of the slower surfaces during the year.
Zheng Jie tried that slice a few times, but that's not really worked for her. But I do think she needs to make things up.
It's a big service game for Zheng Jie. She holds. She's still in the match, obviously, but if she does get broken, Venus can start to run away with the match.
The difficulty facing Zheng Jie is she's actually just reacting at the moment as she was with Sharapova. And in the Sharapova match, once she was in the lead, she had a bit of time to think to how to dictate, and it was a completely different perspective and situation in the match, and that just threw her off. At the moment, you can see Zheng just counter-punching, just trying to survive the onslaught. So there's not much thinking involved here, it's just chase that ball. So she's got it all to do in front of her. First of all, she's just got to stay in there, weather the storm, handle the onslaught, and if she gets into an opportunity where she can start to dictate the point, then she's got to contemplate how to do that. But first serve in down the tee, 87 miles per hour though, and it's Venus Williams, it's 121, and that's just giving away a lot of speed.
Random side note, if you see the emblem on Venus's clothing line, it's actually her own fashion line, athletic line, 11. Venus did get a degree in fashion during her time on tour, which is very commendable given the obligations and how much time the tour demands and practice.
Well, it just shows you how talented they are, because they both dabble in other things while they're full-time on tour. Sometimes they make the tour sort of a part-time sideline hobby, these girls, and they can come back. I think Serena last year, she only played a handful of tournaments, but she came away with 2 or 3 Grand Slam titles.
Right. That's quite impressive. Actually, Venus also was the big ambassador for getting women to have equal prize money to the men at Wimbledon.
Yeah, it's always going to be a touchy subject. I don't know if I should ask you this question, but I'm going to anyway. Because, I mean, the notable difference is that, like I said, it's only at the Grand Slams and the big events where the men play 5 sets, best of 5 sets, where the women play 3. And it's a financial world now. Everything is supply and demand. And it's still arguable which tour is more marketable.
I think there's arguments to both sides. I'm not particularly strong on either. obviously being a woman, I think it's great that they earn equal prize money.